Now, there is a video floating around on social media that's making some rather strong claims about electric cars. Claims like this one.
I think electric cars are a complete contrary.
And then there's this.
If all the cars were run on electric, they'd suck all the electricity out of the national grid.
Case for...
Now, normally, we would roll our eyes and ignore this kind of debatable opinion. But because it's getting quite a lot of views, we thought we'd do a special little chatette and a bit of an electrifying.com fact check, because we want to make sure that you're armed with the facts when someone asks you about it down the pub.
And that would be the facts. But before we arm you with the facts, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and switch those notifications on.
The facts.
Because if you want to listen to a balanced view full of facts, then this is the channel to come to. Okay, so let's begin. You try not to get too cross.
I'm already cross.
I know, but you don't want to see him when he's angry. You really don't.
I think electric cars are a complete contrary. The biggest contrary inflicted on society since the invention of the internal combustion engine. And it's all about control. It's because eventually a lot of politicians who have a certain point of view want to force cars off the road altogether. So they invented the electric car.
Wow. They invented the electric car. I'm not so sure I've ever met or heard or seen a politician that I would consider to be smart enough to have invented the electric car. How about you?
Or indeed one old enough.
No,
because as far as I'm aware, and I mean this is just research that I've done by doing research, the first electric car, albeit a crude version, was invented by a Scottish man called Robert Anderson, and that was in 1832.
1832.
1832, that's quite a long time ago, certainly before the previous Conservative government. In fact, the first electric vehicle that had its own power source, which would be a battery that also had a driver, so essentially a car, although it didn't look much like a car, was tested in Paris on the street in 1881 by a French inventor called Gustave Trouvé.
I love your accent.
Thank you. Bon. Où est la bibliothèque?
Stop it. By the turn of the century, in fact, electric cars were so popular in the US that 40% of cars were powered by steam.
I think we should go back to steam. It'd be brilliant.
No, we shouldn't. 22% by gasoline, and 38% of all cars in the US at the turn of the century, not the 20th, this would be the 19th century, were powered by electricity.
Yeah, so basically they were around a long time before the internal combustion engine, and they were definitely not invented by a politician.
Let's move on.
It's immoral that children in Africa have to go into mines and mine cobalt to make the batteries.
So the Democratic Republic of Congo is responsible for about 70% of the world's cobalt supplies.
Right.
And in there is a thing called artisan mining, which is smaller producers. They think around 200,000 people work in this sector. It supplies about 15-20% of the cobalt that comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And that is largely unregulated. And sadly, there are a lot of examples of child labour being used in that, around 40,000 children, they think.
So there is a grain of truth in it.
There is an absolute grain of truth in it. However,
the interesting thing is that cobalt is a very expensive mineral. So all of the people that are making car batteries are currently trying to get it out of their batteries. So the technology is moving away from the use of cobalt. They're also being very careful about where it comes from. So supply chains in car manufacturing are changing. BMW, for instance, as one of the biggest car companies in the world, insists that all of its cobalt comes from either Morocco or Australia, where it can be ethically and responsibly mined. Tesla's going away entirely from using cobalt in its batteries.
Okay. And you know, that strategy of moving the supply chain does work, but it also threatens the livelihood of many of those smaller producers and communities in Congo. So there is an organisation called the Fair Cobalt Alliance, and they're working with those smaller producers to show them that, you know, child labour is not the way. Is not the way, and to help generally improve working conditions in Congo.
So are we going to give him that sort of?
Sort of, I think, yeah, sort of. But, you know, it wasn't a fully researched fact, but kind of.
We've also got to, just as another sort of rebuttal, you've got to remember that petrol and diesel also use cobalt in the refining process. So everybody has to clean up their supply chains. Industry needs to do better across the board.
Agreed. Okay, next one.
the batteries are enormously heavy. An electric car is twice the weight of an ordinary car, so much so that some British cities have had to stop electric cars parking in multi-storey car parks because the weight of them will collapse the car park.
I'm really not sure where this one's come from. I think this is quite funny.
It is quite funny. We fact-checked this quite thoroughly.
Yeah, we did, actually.
We really did. We have searched. We have scoured the UK.
We have scoured multi-storey car parks across the UK.
We actually can't find any multi-storey car parks in the UK that have banned electric cars.
Because it's not true.
However, there was a report from a chap called Chris Wapples.
Well, it's a great name.
It's a great name, though. Chris is a member of the British Parking Association, which represents car park owners, and he claimed in the Daily Mail that car parks designed to take the weight of cars like the Ford Cortina from the 1970s are likely to collapse under the weight of electric cars, which might be the basis for the rather strong claim in that video. So why don't we unpick what Chris Wapples has got to say?
Okay, so there's no doubt that cars have got a lot heavier since the 1970s. If you think what a Ford Cortina, which was kind of an average sort of family car, would be back in the day, I know you know this because you wrote this, didn't you? And you fact check it. But it weighed about 900 kilos, so substantially less than a ton. So it's super light. But as things have got more luxurious, they've got more advanced driver assistance systems, they've got airbags, they've got crash safety. Things like, say, what's the most popular selling car in Britain at the moment that's a normalised car? It's a Nissan Qashqai. That weighs about 1.4 tonnes, so 1,400 kilos. A Leaf, which is also a 5-door hatchback type thing, that weighs 1,580 kilograms. Now, a Tesla Model 3 is 1,700, but a diesel BMW 3 Series, which is, again, a kind of average car, is 1,600. So while electric cars are undoubtedly heavier than a similar or comparable petrol or diesel, not by much. In fact, there's one or two that are the same weight. So an electric Mini is pretty much the same weight as a normal one.
Yeah, so my question would be, what about those big SUVs then? Land Rover Discovery, 2.5 tonnes.
Yeah, they're big.
Maybe they should ban that. Maybe Chris Wapples needs to have a word with the Discovery owners.
I think
and
they
ban
should
those.
very much ban big SUVs.
But listen, in the spirit of being completely thorough and fact-checking with real facts, we asked the British Parking Association for a list of all the UK car parks that have currently banned electric cars.
Where are they then?
Ooh, I bet you'd love to see that.
I'd like to see that map, yes.
They said, and I quote, "There is no evidence to show that this is happening."
Let's move on.
Tyres now.
Did you know that the cars are so heavy that they shred the tyres much, much more quickly than ordinary cars, and therefore the fibre from the rubber is sprayed out into the air all the time?
Right. The fibre from the rubber. Interesting take on that. Now, there is indeed, or there was, a slight concern that because electric cars are heavier, they will produce more fine dust, which is known as particulates from the tyres because of the extra weight. But the brakes actually last a lot longer with an electric car because you capture some of that energy used in braking through regeneration. So you don't have the brake pads rubbing against the discs, so you produce less particulates.
And all tyres produce particulates. And there is a huge amount of work being done by the tyre industry. In fact, there is a big conference happening in the US at the moment, which is looking into this very thing. As for the tyres themselves, Quick Fit, who they know a bit about tyres, don't they, Quick Fit?
Yeah,
they did. They said recently that electric car tyres do actually seem to be lasting longer than those fitted to petrol or diesel cars. I reckon they should know, because, you know, you can't get better than a Quick Fit. No?
Next one.
Okay.
We would need 10 new nuclear power stations to provide the power to make the cars run. 10 new nuclear power stations. Already we're going to have possibly power strikes over a bad winter. We've had a mild winter so far. If all the cars were run on electric, they'd suck all the electricity out of the national grid.
How many times have I heard that?
They would suck it all out.
It'll all be gone immediately.
Oh, wrong. Wrong. That is not going to happen.
I roll my eyes so hard when I hear that I can see out of the back of my own head.
And it is categorically Wrong.
Wrong.
Electric cars are actually going to be part of the solution for balancing the grid.
Yes.
Because they are just a big battery that you can store energy in. So you can put energy into it and take energy out of it.
Do you know who knows about this?
I do know who knows about it. We know a man who does.
Let's hear from him.
My name is Graham Cooper and I'm Head of Future Markets at National Grid.
And what is your specialist subject?
My specialist subject is transport decarbonisation and the growth in offshore wind.
So let's start off with a simple question first. Will electric cars make the national grid melt?
Simply, no.
You can't argue with Graham from the grid because he knows his facts.
He does. So no, you don't need to worry about that one. Should we talk about batteries again though?
Let's do it.
Back to batteries.
But do you know where the biggest lithium mine is in the world right now?
Oh, I would always go Congo for that.
Mike?
You're going to tell me it's in this country?
No.
Where is it?
Do you know where it is?
No.
It's in your bottom drawer.
Right. He's got a massive lithium mine in his bottom drawer, which we're not going to comment upon, but it does just sort of say that she means normal batteries. These things.
That I just got from the bottom drawer.
Which these are not going to help run your electric car, to be blunt. But I would say that the lithium-ion batteries that you find in things like portable hoovers, phones, laptops, all of this kind of stuff, they can be recycled along with electric cars and bikes. They're the things that are going to help.
That is very true. Not these. About 5% of the world's lithium-ion batteries that are found in those appliances are currently being recycled worldwide. And that's because there is an awful lot of chemistry and engineering know-how needed to pull it off. But there's been a company started called Redwood, which is really interesting. So it was the former chief technology officer at Tesla.
Yeah.
And they have figured out how to separate all the chemicals that are currently locked into the 600,000 tonnes of lithium-ion batteries that we get through every year. It's early days, but they reckon that by 2025, they can separate enough of the precious metals from things like these laptops and vacuums.
And phones.
And yes, to help produce the batteries for more than 1 million electric cars a year. Early days, though. But yes, that sounds quite promising.
These things?
From your bottom drawer?
No.
No, but do recycle them properly.
Next.
The Giles Corran thing was interesting, right? He buys a Jaguar Pace.
No, not that.
A very, very fast...
F-Pace, yeah.
F-Pace, right?
No.
No.
No, that's still wrong.
And it's a car that needs a lot of power.
Yes, we're getting there. It is a car that needs a lot of power. It's just not an F-Pace, which comes with a choice of petrol and diesel engines. But as far as we know, no electric.
No.
No. Do you think he means the I-Pace?
I think he very much does.
You mean the I-Pace, Jeremy?
Hang on, let's stay with this one, shall we?
Okay.
He writes a piece saying it's a disaster, he can't get anywhere. It then emerges he's been charging it by running a cable from a normal socket in his house, which experts say will take a minimum of 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got quite a big battery, an I-Pace, so it will take quite a long time.
2 days?
2 days. I mean, I do know that people do charge their car that way, but most people that buy a £65,000 electric car, or even cheaper, would actually just get a home wall box fitted and it would charge it in 8 hours. So that seems an odd way of charging your electric car.
And probably not one we would recommend.
No.
You can't charge them. What, those pictures you saw were people at Christmas queuing for an hour and a half to get to an electric pump and then spending over three electric charger. And then hang on, another 3/4 an hour to charge it. And then when they shoot off, 120 miles later, bang, it's all gone.
Oh, it's all getting a bit heated in
Like
the
he's
studio.
saying the electricity has fallen out of the car and it couldn't get it back. It just fell out like it had a leak.
Oh my goodness me, there is quite a lot to unpack now, isn't there?
is.
Where do we start? Okay, well, let's start with the pictures of the queues.
And they were there.
They
We're
were
not
there.
denying that they were there.
And we are increasingly seeing pictures of queuing, as we saw with the Tesla at certain areas over Christmas.
Yeah.
Because electric cars are becoming so popular. You know, 1 in 6 new cars sold last year was electric.
Yes.
Their sales were up 40% over 2021. And when it comes to Tesla, the Tesla Model Y was actually the 3rd best-selling car in the UK. Best-selling car overall, not just best-selling electric. We do need a better plan in place to alleviate those queues and demand
At peak times,
at peak
specifically.
times. Maybe things like surge pricing, So that makes people think more about when they actually need to charge. So do you know what? He can have that one.
I will just put a little technical point in there though.
Okay.
There's a couple of things.
Yes.
Like Tesla drivers, because it's usually so seamless, aren't always aware that there are other places they can charge, because you can charge a Tesla anywhere.
Yes, that's true.
And also, if you've got a Tesla, you will be quite aware that it generally will not take you more than 45 minutes to charge.
That is true.
Fully.
That is
They
very
would
true.
be in and out a lot quicker than he seems to suggest in there.
Yeah.
And Tesla people can back us up on that.
And in fact, if you were going to put the 120 miles in that he says, bang, will be gone immediately, it would only take about 15 minutes.
Yeah. And actually, I would say, as an addition to that, Teslas are generally very efficient cars. It's why they got one of our efficiency awards.
They've got the highest electrifying efficiency award, and that's something that you should always think about and consider when you're buying any electric car.
It's not just how big your battery is, it's how well you use it.
And on that note, I think our fact check is done.
And while we appreciate Mike's obvious passion for the subject,
So passionate.
we would like to hear from you lot. What do you think to these interviews that seem to be just basically baiting people with electric cars? Do you think they have valid points? Do you think there's a grain of truth in there? Or do you think it's just all fear and uncertainty and making everyone worried? Do you think there's an agenda?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
And also let us know about our fact checking. We've done the research. We've been very thorough. We like to think we know what we're talking about, but we would also love to hear your comments about this video in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Bye, Mike.
Right, I'm going to go and empty my bottom drawer.